I know a lot of people may not watch the video because people would prefer to read tweets, but I thought it would still be meaningful for me to create a video that kind of brings together my recent exchange about Robert E. Lee. So, in case somebody wants to take a tweet and make it be something that it's not, there's this video to kind of give background on my thinking. We all understand that as K-12 teachers, that is my first love. I know I work at the university right now, but I keep up my certification with Maryland State Public Schools. I'm still in and out of public and private schools, and my first love is the children. And I am very aware. I have been a principal and I have been a teacher for almost 30 years. And I am aware that there is just not a lot of time. There is not enough time to tell every single person's story in history. But let's focus this in a little bit. There's not a lot of time to tell every single person's story in American history. And I really want to focus in on that American history piece because I'm a believer that the way we are teaching history, especially American history, is at the root of the issues we're having today. And all of us, I'm almost 50 years old, all of us old folk have been affected by the way history has been taught. And so what I'm trying to propose is that we take time to look at our history curriculum to figure out who do we really need to tell the story of in full to understand the story of America. Because the way we're emphasizing certain heroes and certain people is doing two things that is grieving my heart. It is either making people who look like me hate this beautiful country that I love. And on the second, it's making people elevate the stories of those who wanted to keep America in a racist space. That's what it's doing. But I have a whole other perspective on all of history, but especially American history. I don't have an attitude of hopelessness. I am not bitter at this country. Matter of fact, I love this country. And when I study history, I am proud of it. I am proud that Robert E. Lee lost. I am not proud of Robert E. Lee. And it's not because I'm Black and hate white people. I'm actually sort of intrigued by Stonewall Jackson. But that's another story for another video. I am proud of how our country, when I sit back and I look at history, has fought vigorously against those who didn't want the Constitution to apply to me and my community. And even though oftentimes the Civil War and other things did not seem to start out with the intention of fighting for my people's equality, I can watch the story and see how people's hearts were evolving. For me to be able to teach that and to have the time to teach that to precious, innocent minds that I have the responsibility to mold and shape to be the citizens of this country, to value this country and its principles, I'm going to have to do a better job of choosing who I choose to emphasize and who I choose to elevate. So, what makes me sad is that in American schools, when we teach history, we will spend more time talking about Robert E. Lee, where I'm not going to do your homework for you, okay? Slavery ended a long time ago. I'm not here to serve people to help them find the truth. Everything I say is always backed with primary sources. I don't come from an emotional space. I read the primary sources. I read the words of Robert E. Lee and others, and I make my decisions. I encourage you to do the same. You can easily look up my thinking. You can look up Robert E. Lee and say, did he own slaves? You'll find documents. What did he feel about slavery? I know for a fact he felt that, yeah, slavery is wrong, but the punishment and the discipline we have to give Black people will make them better than in Africa. That's all I need to know. He is not a hero. That is not an American ideal. We don't need to spend a whole unit or even a day lesson talking about that man. You can do that in your own house. But if we're educating citizens who value the principles of America, we need to be elevating the voices, the lives of people who thought that was craziness. Like, everyone knows who Robert E. Lee is, but no one knows who Senator Frelinghuysen is. He's the one who tried to make Andrew Johnson not in the work of Reconstruction, but nobody knows who he is. And you know what? Nobody knows about the senator who tried to stand for civil rights right after the Civil War and the KKK lynched and murdered at the courthouse. We don't know who that is. And so therefore, we got black children growing up thinking all white people are racist. America is racist. And we got white people thinking America's just for white people and we got to only tell our story. No, this is our story. We don't need to be elevating or wasting our time teaching the story of those who wanted to divide us. So yes, we only need to know that Robert E. lost and the context of how he lost. That's the story we need to tell. If they want to do other research or mom and dad want to do research at home, they can do that. And then we need to move it on to talk about the abolitionists, civil rights leaders, black and white, presidents who stood on the right side of these things, and how they spoke out against those who didn't. We spend too much time elevating those who really did not believe in America's ideals. And therefore, our K-12 children are graduating from our schools still stuck, either thinking America's racist and doesn't mean any good for me, or America is my country, it doesn't belong to black people. And so I just need us to rethink how we teach history. And I'm not talking about us against them. I'm talking about teaching history in a way where we understand that the fight really has been true American patriots in the truest sense of the word. All of us who thought about these ideals and believed in them, it's us against racism. And we cannot accomplish that if we keep elevating people like Robert E. Lee, holding on to the myths of his heroism, when literally he really did not do much to make the United States what it promised it would be.